I was taken aback and my voice revealed my shock and anxiety when I heard about the cancellation. "What do you mean there's been a cancellation?" I asked, my voice echoing my confusion and sudden worry. At that moment, I was on a call during my lunch break at work and had unintentionally spoken louder than intended, prompting me to quickly lower my voice. I hadn't asked for any cancellation, so why was this unfolding? My thoughts stalled, leaving my mind utterly blank. On the other end of the line, the woman from the insurance company maintained her composure, a stark contrast to my escalating panic. "According to our records, we received a cancellation request from you, and the procedure has already been completed," she explained calmly. I had enrolled in a savings-type life insurance policy, prodded by my sister-in-law, Alice, who worked as an insurance agent. She had persuaded me to opt for a plan that was pricier than what was typically available in the market, due to the pressure she faced to meet her high sales quotas. "My name is Betty, and I'm a 42-year-old office worker living in an apartment with my husband and young daughter. Today was nonstop chaos right from the start. As soon as my husband Henry got out of bed, he announced an unexpected overnight business trip and began frantically packing his bags. Meanwhile, our daughter Linda, who is only in the first grade, burst into tears, distressed because she couldn't find her math textbook. Linda needs a lot of help due to her young age, and her struggles only added to the day's turmoil. Amidst all this, I wished Henry would organize his belongings himself, rather than adding to the confusion by asking where his travel bag was or the location of his new socks. This year has been particularly challenging with Henry, and thoughts of divorce have been haunting me more frequently. When I expressed my frustration about them not preparing the night before, Linda promptly apologized with genuine remorse. "Sorry, Mom. I'll be more careful next time." I reassured her, admitting, "It's okay, I should have checked with you yesterday. That was my mistake." However, dealing with Henry felt like a different battle. Linda is still young, and if Henry had prepared ahead of time, we could have avoided this morning's chaos. He should have been considerate enough to sort out his socks or even buy new ones for his trip. Henry's insensitive remarks about wanting new socks for his trips irritated me deeply. "I had no idea about your business trip schedule," I responded. "Aren't the socks I washed and put away good enough?" His insistence on new socks for trips struck me as peculiar, but I kept my opinions to myself. His business trips are infrequent, happening maybe once every few months, and surely this one had been scheduled well in advance, even though he hadn't mentioned it. If he needed new socks, he should have either bought them himself or told me beforehand. Seeing Linda's tear-streaked face as she pleaded, "Daddy, Mommy, please stop fighting," broke my heart. I turned to her. "Linda, I'm sorry, it's okay, let's find your textbook together." With that, Henry quietly returned to his packing. As I helped Linda search through her backpack for her missing math textbook, I couldn't help but glance over at Henry. I noticed he was packing casual clothes more suitable for a weekend getaway than a business trip. This detail raised a serious red flag for me, stirring up old fears. Could Henry be having another affair? Given his past actions, my suspicions weren't unfounded. He had been unfaithful twice before. The first incident occurred right before Linda was born, pushing me to the brink of filing for divorce. However, after tearful apologies and interventions from his family, including pleas from his mother and sister not to leave him, I reluctantly decided to stay. Then, last year, he strayed again with someone he met on a dating app. Henry, always direct and rarely subtle, thinks he's discreet, but his attempts at secrecy are often transparent and almost comical from my viewpoint. When caught, he resorted to tears and apologies yet again. It was both pitiful and frustrating to see him so humbled, knowing his usual arrogance. That time, I made it clear, one more slip-up and our marriage would definitely end. I even had him sign preliminary divorce papers and transfer all our savings into my account as a precaution. Though I forgave him, my feelings for him had entirely dissipated due to his selfishness and lack of involvement with Linda. I considered postponing the divorce until Linda was older for her sake. Thankfully, we found Linda's math textbook quickly, and she left for school cheerfully. Left alone with the morning's unrest, I skipped making lunch and headed to a nearby shop during my break. There, I noticed an advertisement for the insurance company and remembered my policy was due for a bonus payment. Considering the high premiums I pay, these bonuses are significant incentives for me. I started imagining what I could buy with the bonus, perhaps some new autumn clothes for Linda. Feeling a bit more upbeat, I stopped at the bank to check my statement, hoping to see the bonus deposited. To my surprise, the expected funds were not there. Yet, when I checked my bank account, not only was the expected bonus missing, but this month's insurance premium hadn't been deducted either. Initially, I was merely puzzled by this discrepancy. However, recalling the morning's chaotic discussion about cancellations with Henry, a sinking feeling began to take root within me. Concerned, I decided to contact the insurance company to uncover what was happening. My sister-in-law, Alice, who usually handled my insurance matters, was off that day, so another representative took my call. That's when the cancellation confusion came to light. The representative informed me that a cancellation payment had been processed, but I hadn't seen any funds in my account. She insisted that all the paperwork was correct and that the insurance company had adhered to proper procedures, subtly implying that the fault wasn't theirs if the policy was canceled without the owner's knowledge. Firmly, I clarified once again that I had no intention of canceling the policy. I'll follow up with Alice and my husband, but please double-check everything on your end as well, I requested. After making my point clear, I ended the call. Before I knew it, my lunch break was nearly over, and I realized I had neither the time nor the appetite to eat the lunch I had bought, as other concerns weighed heavily on my mind. Feeling the need to address this issue promptly, I informed my boss that I had to leave early and quickly wrapped up my remaining tasks. Leaving the office ahead of schedule, I immediately called Henry, wondering if he was genuinely on a business trip or if something else was afoot. "Betty, why are you calling? I'm at work," Henry answered after a few rings, his voice tinged with irritation. However, in the background, I could hear lively music, casting doubt on his claim of being at work. "It's absurd that you think you can avoid getting caught," I said, my frustration evident. "Sorry to bother you, but my life insurance was canceled without my knowledge, and there's no record of any cancellation payment. Do you know anything about this? I'm considering contacting the police as it might be a scam." "Ha! Calling the police?" Henry replied, then confessed, "It was me." I had suspected that Henry and Alice might have been involved in this somehow. When I hinted at getting the authorities involved, Henry quickly confessed, clearly caught off guard. Although I had suspected him, my frustration now erupted. "So it was you? Where's the cancellation payment then?" I demanded. "I used it to help Mom out," Henry replied nonchalantly. "Help out? Did something happen to your mother that she suddenly needed money?" "No, she just mentioned she wanted to go on a family trip for once." "A trip?" I was utterly stunned by his audacious response. "You canceled my life insurance to fund a trip? Was the business shirt just a cover?" "Yeah, I'm the beneficiary, so you can't complain, right? We're staying at a luxurious hotel. I'm in the lobby right now, and you wouldn't believe the size of the chandelier here." Henry seemed to think it was acceptable since he had been caught, even bragging about the details as if to impress me. "What's with this attitude?" I countered, infuriated. "I have plenty of complaints. Why would you cancel the insurance without telling me? I've been paying those premiums out of my salary. You should be able to cover your trip expenses." "Ah, it's so annoying," Henry replied dismissively. "But it's the money I get if something happens to you, right? So it's my money. You're healthy and not in any danger, so we can just start paying the premiums again." I was dumbfounded by Henry's flawed reasoning. "But the terms change as you get older, and the premiums increase. Do you not understand that?" "Well, I'm not the one paying for it," he said. Henry's careless disregard only added to my frustration. "Do your parents know about this? That you canceled my life insurance without telling me?" Didn't your father say anything? And Alice is involved in this too, right? You and Alice forged my signature, didn't you? Yeah, Mom and Dad were actually happy about it, he admitted, as if that justified his actions. They thought it was a good idea. It's your fault for controlling all our money. I just wanted to have fun for once, Henry argued as if the situation was trivial. It's no big deal. We're on a family trip and everyone's happy. That family includes your parents and Alice, right? Why aren't Linda and I included? Aren't family too? I asked, my voice tinged with hurt and disbelief. Insurance is meant for emergencies, Henry. Shouldn't you have discussed using it for a trip with me first? But you knew I would say no. You and Linda are always together. It's fine for me to spend time with my real family once in a while, he retorted. Plus, Alice was planning to sign you up for a new life insurance policy, so it's a win-win. I can't believe you're not embarrassed by these excuses, almost like a child who didn't tell because he knew I'd object. That's exactly why you didn't tell me. You knew I'd be upset. It's so frustrating. If you're going to keep complaining, maybe I should just get a divorce. Henry continued, his tone unusually bold, perhaps bolstered by being at a tourist spot. Understood, I replied sharply before hanging up. Be prepared. I'm going to make sure Henry and his family face the consequences, I muttered to myself, my patience finally snapping. Henry had taken my forgiveness for granted too many times, despite my threats of divorce. I had once thought my in-laws were decent people. Even though Alice had pressured me into an expensive life insurance policy, I believed she wasn't acting with malice, but decent people don't secretly cancel their daughter-in-law's life insurance to fund personal pleasures. Like husband, like family, I thought grimly. I was done with all of them. I went straight to visit the lawyer, clutching the divorce papers Henry had filled out earlier, as if they were a talisman. I filed for divorce immediately. Afterward, I picked up Linda from after-school care. On our way home, I gently explained the situation to her. She was initially surprised, but I reassured her, emphasizing that our well-being was my top priority. Linda seemed to grasp the situation after I took the time to explain everything in detail. Once we arrived home, she asked, "So, Daddy isn't coming home anymore?" "He won't be home tonight because he's staying somewhere else. We're getting divorced, so we'll be living apart," I answered her cautiously, trying to gauge her understanding and feelings. "Then let's start cleaning up now, quickly," she suggested. "What's wrong?" I asked, a bit confused by her urgency. "We're separated from Dad, right, Mom? You don't have to cry anymore. I hate it when Dad makes you upset," Linda explained. "Did you always tell us to stop fighting because you were worried about me being sad?" "Of course," I admitted. I had planned to avoid divorce for Linda's sake, but it seemed she had been suppressing her true feelings all along. She often intervened in our arguments because she was concerned about me. Daddy never plays with me, even on his days off. When I try to talk to him, he just says, "Be quiet, go away." Like this morning, he only uses me to say mean things to you. I've been so sad. "I love you, Mom," she smiled at me, and her smile warmed my heart. Seeing Linda's understanding of the situation and her resolve was heart-wrenching and brought tears to my eyes. Her insights into how Henry had prioritized himself over us both, and her fed-up stance made it clear that she, too, was ready for a change. "I understand, sweetheart. I'm sorry for putting you through such difficult times. From now on, it will be just the two of us, but I promise to take good care of you. I love you so much." "Yay!" Linda's joyful exclamation filled me with determination. I vowed never to let her feel sad again. While Linda worked on her homework beside me, I busied myself with tasks like consulting a lawyer and researching real estate agents and moving companies. I then reached out to my parents to discuss our next steps and gather their support, ensuring that Linda and I would have a strong network as we move forward. When I explained the situation to my parents, their immediate response was, "Come back home right away. This way, Linda won't have to change schools." My father also offered to borrow a truck from a friend to help us move our things. The next morning, I informed the landlord, the school, and the families in Linda's commuting group that we would be relocating to my parents' house, briefly explaining the circumstances. I planned to handle the school's detailed paperwork later and called my workplace to request a day off for the next day. I wanted to complete most of the preparations before Henry returned. By the time Henry got back the next day, my parents had arrived and we swiftly moved our belongings to their home. Everything was settled except for Henry's things, which were still in the apartment. I left a note that read, "We are divorced, we are strangers now," and exited the apartment. I imagined Henry's shock at finding us gone and felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. The smooth execution of this divorce was thanks to the experience gained during Henry's previous affair. I had warned him then, "Next time there will be no discussion. We're getting divorced." We had agreed that I would retain custody and all marital assets. With that in mind, Linda and I began our new life at my parents' home. Later, my frantic mother-in-law called. She must have reached out because I had blocked Henry's number. Knowing Henry's tendency to cry easily despite his usual bravado, I pictured him probably sobbing away. "What are you thinking, divorcing my son when he hasn't even cheated this time?" she yelled, her voice so loud it hurt my ears. I instinctively pulled the phone away from my ear. "Betty, it's not too late. Apologize to my son right now. He's been crying nonstop because he's so upset. Aren't you embarrassed to make such a fuss over this?" "Apologize? Me? Why?" I was so taken aback by her words that I blurted out, "Who are you, eh?" My mother-in-law clearly didn't expect such a response from me, and her words suddenly stopped. My own sharp response surprised me. "Well, yes, it's me, your mother-in-law. Come on, Betty, what's wrong with you? You're not losing your mind, are you? You're still young." "No, I only have one mother. Are you some kind of scam artist?" I replied, half jokingly yet pointedly, not providing her with the acknowledgement she expected. Given that we were now divorced and effectively strangers, and considering their past actions like canceling my life insurance without my permission, I saw no reason to engage in a serious conversation. It seemed fitting to maintain a somewhat detached demeanor. "Don't joke around, Betty. If you're going to act like this, we have our own ways of dealing with things," she warned, her voice seething with anger. "And what exactly can you do?" I countered, skepticism threading through my words. "We agreed that if there was another issue, I'd get a divorce immediately. And Henry himself told me over the phone that he wanted a divorce." My firm stance made her pause, and I seized the opportunity to press further. "If you wanted to go on a trip, you should have consulted me first. Instead, you committed a crime. Unauthorized cancellation of life insurance can be considered forgery, punishable by imprisonment. I'm ready to pursue this thoroughly." I knew of no financial troubles in Henry's family, so their actions struck me as not just impulsive but reckless, and that was precisely why I couldn't let it slide. "Wait a minute, we can't be criminals. Please, I'm sorry, let's talk," she stammered, the mention of possible imprisonment causing a sudden shift in her tone, but it was too late for apologies or discussions. I hung up the phone and blocked my in-laws' numbers, distancing myself from any further toxic interactions. This decisive break marked a new chapter for Linda and me, one where we could seek peace and stability away from past upheavals. Later, I found out that Henry was so shocked by the divorce that he quit his job and withdrew from social activities, effectively becoming a recluse. As for the life insurance debacle, we managed to resolve it through an out-of-court settlement designed specifically for such insurance disputes. My sister-in-law ended up being dismissed from the insurance company, which even made minor headlines. The actions of my in-laws turned them into the subject of neighborhood gossip, and they faced criticism from relatives over their poor judgment and disgraceful actions, leading to their social isolation. With both Henry and my sister-in-law out of work, they appeared to be facing financial struggles. Meanwhile, Linda and I were relishing a happy and liberated life at my parents' home. Despite the challenges the situation had posed for my daughter, I was committed to providing her with all the love and care she deserves. In this new chapter of our lives, we found peace and stability, supported by the love of my parents, and we were gradually rebuilding our lives, free from the past turmoil.